Hello to everyone watching. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here with the New York Kurdish Cultural Center, and we're celebrating the Kurdish Heritage Month of March, which means we're going to be having a bunch of interviews and podcasts and different projects going on. So we're really excited that you're listening. And my name is Sera. I'm the volunteer coordinator at the Kurdish Cultural Center in New York, and I'm here today with Passar Hariky. So thank you so much for joining us, Passar. Passar is both an actor, journalist, political scientist, entrepreneur, um, many different things, and he has created a map of Kurdistan, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. It's a commonly accepted, recognized map of Kurdistan that we have used in our film festival and at the Cultural Center for years. Um, so yeah, Passar, thank you for being here with us.
Great to be here.
Thank you. And so first of all, can you tell me about you have a publishing house called Passar Hariky?
Mhm.
Can you tell me about your publishing house and what you do?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a Kurdish publishing house. I started it when I wanted to have a Kurdish calendar. Um, that was 2021, and I was searching for one, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find like a calendar or journal, something like that. So I thought I do it myself. And then I created this Kurdish history calendar for the wall, where you can learn every month you can learn two new things about Kurdish history. And then I was finished. I was working on it for a month. Like I was every day I was standing up, waking up, went to work, came back, went on worked on the calendar. I was pretty tough because I saw that I didn't know that much about Kurdish history, which is sad. And I a lot of time also went by when I asked my father because my father has a lot knows a lot about stuff about the stuff, and so it was kind of the a lot of work because I had to ask him about specific things, and then I had to research also the specific things because of the date. And then I wanted also to have like Kurdish like holidays and special days also be in the calendar. So you can imagine that there was a lot of work. And when I finished, I was like maybe I can try to sell it. Maybe other people are also interested in that. And then I saw like a lot of people were interested in the calendar. Uh, they all bought it, and then I said, you know what, I have to create this idea of a publishing house where I can focus on more Kurdish products, like everyday Kurdish products, and maybe at some point I can also publish a book, not about me or written by myself, but maybe from other publishers, from other like authors. That are mostly because Kurdish people, you know, there are a lot of Kurdish people who are how do I say it? They are creative. They do a lot of stuff, but at least here in Germany, a lot of them are not really that good in these administrative things and also like in publishing their things on their name or like showing it to the world. And also here in Germany, it's quite difficult to like if you want to create something about Kurdistan or the Kurdish people, um, there are a lot of issues with like other publishing houses, German publishing houses that are not interested in that. So that was the idea about how I created this publishing house, Pastaname.
Incredible, thank you. And what do you have now at the publishing house?
So after the calendar, I don't create that anymore. I created this Kurdistan map, that map of Kurdistan. Uh, I wasn't alone at that because I created it with a friend of mine. He's a cartograph, and we created this together. I showed him what I wanted to have. It should be like that. This should be included. And then he made it. And the thing is, we this is also a lot of researching that we put in. A map of Kurdistan. I mean, there are maps of Kurdistan, um, and quite a few actually. But what I wanted to have is I wanted to have a modern version of Kurdistan. A great, a good looking map,
Mm.
um, with like the definition of Kurdistan that was placed by different historians, for example. And then I came to read about more about Sharaf Khan Bitlisi,
Mhm.
and this is the guy who wrote about Kurdish history, and he wrote that Kurdistan is from this point until north of something, and then he went straight to the Persian Gulf that we know as the Persian Gulf. And then we created that, and also, yeah, you're right. You said it. We had to look in the specific minority population statistics in each different things, but also into what is historical Kurdistan, and that was a lot of research time.
Wow. But so you based the map on historical Kurdistan.
So yeah, on the map there are two versions. One is in a lighter color, the other one is in a more darker color, a whiter color. So you can see a modern version of Kurdistan. What you always see, um, specific areas on right now, they are not part of this modern version of Kurdistan. For example, the city of Hamadan.
Mhm.
Hamadan is actually a historic Kurdish town, city. For example, I think I have a map there, but I have to look. I think Gurgum was also not included, and the whole of Ludistan is also like not included in all these modern versions of Kurdistan when you see maps of Kurdistan. But in the historical, traditional way, how Kurdistan is seen, all these parts were always part of Kurdistan. For example, Ludistan that we see, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ludistan, which goes until to the Persian Gulf.
Mhm.
It's a modern thing when the Iranians try to separate them like with the propaganda of their different culture then and different language than other Kurdish parts, and the same the Kurdish people tried the Turkish people tried to do with Kurds in Dersim, for example, when they said, no, 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 you are not Kurds, you're Zaza, you don't speak Kurdish or Kurmanji, you speak something else, you speak Zazai or Kurmanj. Also, I mean, Kurmanjki is the term, Zaza, but they tried to separate them. Like it's a political strategy, divide and conquer, so you can conquer over the people when you divide them, and that's exactly the issue. What the Iranians do in Rojalat with the Ludis, the Turks did also with Dersam. And for example, if you go near to the Persian Gulf, there's a city which is called Sharikurt.
Mhm.
Okay, Sharikurt, it means literally in Kurdish, it means a city of the Kurds. And the Iranians, what they try to do is they try to give them another name. They try to say like, no, 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 it means Shahi Court. Like, for example, the city of the Shah, something like that. There was some attempts, and also like I told you about Hamadan, for example. Hamadan was uh 2000 years ago the capital city of the Median Empire, which was in the heart, or like what we say right now is like the ancestors of the Kurds. So yeah, we included all this in the traditional and the historical way how Kurdistan is seen, and that's what you can see right now.
Incredible. How long did it take you to make this map?
It took a long time. I guess because we hold also like real life and stuff, other stuff in our lives. I think we need like 2, 3 months, something like that, with all the research and the doing and the creating the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you talked a bit about this, but can you go more into detail about the process? How do you start out doing research for such a grand and complicated map?
I mean, there are also other maps
Yeah.
that were there that we could see for ourselves what they see and what they define as Kurdistan, and that wasn't the issue because you can see when you go to like population statistics and the different in these countries that they are occupying Kurdistan, how much Kurds are living there, even though the numbers are not really correct because you can imagine it's not in the interest of like Turkey, for example, to show the real numbers of Kurds living in specific areas,
Yeah.
and also of the Arabization and Turkification of the specific areas in the last 100 years. It's not really accurate anymore. But what we did was we were searching for historical information. For example, Mosul. Okay, Mosul is in South Kurdistan. It's the second biggest city in Iraq. And I mean, you can see through the after the First World War, I guess, these parts of Middle East were under the British and French mandate. So they ruled over specific areas, also specific areas of Kurdistan. And then there are censuses from this time when the French and the English people try to count the people there and the ethnicities. So you can see that a majority of these cities are Kurds. Mosul is one city of those. Another one, which is pretty famous, is Kirkuk, for example. Another one is Aleppo. Aleppo had 70 to 80% Kurds, majority, when the French mandate was there. And after that, because the ruler of this specific area, and after Syria and Iraq was created, the rulers were like Arabs, and then they made this Arabization policy and tried to eradicate the Kurdish presence in these areas. So when we right now, when we look into the areas, we couldn't find majorities of Kurds because of these things, and so we had to, like I said, research a lot of things. These numbers were extremely important to us. We also saw that for the League of Nations, before the UN was created, there was this League of Nations, and there were also like some how do I say it? Some proposals from Kurds to create a Kurdistan with their specific when they claimed specific area, and this area also concludes with the map that our map with the traditional way, because it's that what after 100 years ago was what was considered as Kurdistan and what was considered over 1,000 years of Kurdistan. So yeah, different historical um, input from different times got us to all this information that we created here.
Wow. Okay. Um, no, what a extensive process. I think it's yeah, so much. And I find it really fascinating that it came first of all from your own like your own need for a calendar and then your own need for having like a map that had like that looked more modern and aesthetic one that you liked.
I
Um,
mean, the problem was also the problem was there were maps of Kurdistan,
mhm,
and it wasn't like I couldn't buy it. I also had one, But first, the design was crappy.
okay.
I mean, really, it was like you painted this with paint. The second thing was that um, I wanted to have a map of Kurdistan with all the original names of the Kurdish cities and villages. I mean, there are not villages included here, but cities and smaller towns and mountains and rivers and regions. I couldn't find that. I couldn't find anything like that, and that's why it was so important to me for me to create this map because I saw that a lot of people were searching for that. There was a demand of that, and I wanted. I mean, um, I wanted to show other Kurdish people that there is so much history in Kurdistan, and there's so much more than what the eye sees. And because of all the occupation, there are so many names lost and not used because they want to eradicate the Kurdish presence. So,
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, okay. So speaking on that, on like your motivation behind doing this, I want to ask you also because I understand you were born and grew up in Berlin, in diaspora in Germany, and still you have like your publishing house and so many of these projects of your projects focus on Kurdistan. So what do you think it is that drives you to still go back to focus on Kurdistan and, spend so much energy on this and your heritage?
that is a question. I think I feel I feel I'm responsible to show people and show my own people
Mhm.
what Kurdistan is. When I was researching for this calendar, for this Kurdish history calendar, I saw so much history. I didn't knew anything about that. I didn't knew I knew a bit. Okay, I knew a bit because somehow you were interested and somehow you also I before that because before I created this calendar and this map I was working as a journalist, so I had some knowledge, but I had some knowledge about the present time when from 2016 until 2020 I was every day writing about the conflict in Syria and Rojava, but I didn't know much more about the Kurdish history, and so I feel the need to show the people that there is so much more. There are so many things that we can learn, and it's important to learn their own history because if we don't know our own history, we forget ourselves, we forget our culture, we forget our people, and we forget about who we are and what we want to do and what we can achieve. And this is the thing. And this is uh, I think this is a big that was a big step or I mean a big motivation for me to do more about these stuff and geography and history and yeah.
Okay, and do you feel this way? Do you feel that that has changed you now or your identity, like now knowing more about Kurdistan and being more.
Absolutely. I mean, after the calendar, I created also after the calendar and after the map, I created this journal, this a year journal where like you have a book and you can have a journal every day. You can write something, and I tried to implement the European, the Gregorian calendar with the Kurdish calendar because it's different. This is also something that I learned when I was researching for that first calendar,
Yeah.
and. The when I was researching for both of them, I saw, man, there were so many interesting people in the Kurdish history that we don't know of. There are, and I mean, I have to say also say something that I'm really privileged because I came from a Kurdish family that has a big footprint in Kurdish history. My grandfather's grandfather was fighting with Sheikh Ubaidullah of Nahri when they conquered a big part of from Kurdistan from the Safavid Empire, like the Iranian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. My my grandfather was with him. He was fighting with him. He was like a really big part of his campaign as an administrative part. And then my father's grandfather was fighting the British when they came to South Kurdistan. He was fighting with Mahmoud Barzanji against the British people when when he started to create the Kingdom of Kurdistan, for example. My grandfather was fighting with Mullah Mustafa Barzani and fought the Arabs, the Iraqis, when they tried to eradicate all the Kurdish people. My father was one of the closest people with Imam Jalal, and for 40 years he was in Yekiti, and I mean he did a lot of things. He traveled with Imam Jalal through different countries to like Jordan and Egypt and Kuwait and stuff like that. And so my family, they did a lot, and I wanted to learn more about my family. And be because I wanted to learn more about my family, I also learned more about Kurdish history. And um, then I learned about all these people, and then I learned about more people. And I mean, you came from Copenhagen, went to school, you learned about Danish history, but we are Kurds, we are in the diaspora. We don't have the ability to learn about Kurdish history because we are not there anymore. We maybe we didn't chosen ourselves, but we can choose ourselves to learn more about our heritage, more about our history, more about our people. We are still a part of Kurdistan. We are still from Kurdistan, even if we don't live there. And so I learned about a lot of people, extremely important, intelligent Kurdish men and women. Um, One of the first female doctors was like from the Middle East was a Kurdish woman. Did you know that? I mean, I didn't know that before I read about that. So I saw that there are a lot of people, even my sisters and my brother, they don't know about Kurdish history. And if we know about Kurdish history, we can also find more role models through our history. We can find more idols through our history, what they did, what they created, what they made, how they lived. And because we don't know that, I feel the need to show more of that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Passar. And I think we're running out of time. I was gonna ask you about your advice, your thoughts for other young Kurdish people in Kurdistan or in the diaspora on how to proceed and what you think we can do as Kurds right now with this whole situation. But I think you've already talked a bit about this. I don't know if you want to add any advice for young Kurds.
I mean, we don't have any time anymore. I can only say, it's never too late to learn more about your own history, about learn your language, engage in Kurdish things, even if it's from politics to cultural things. There's a lot of things to do and you can do, and you should never be afraid in doing any of that, and you should never feel ashamed in learning Kurdish after the age of 40, for example. I have a Kurdish class which I give also with Passar. I found a teacher from Rojava who is giving the Kurdish classes, and there was this woman. I guess she was 50. She came to me. She said, "I want to learn Kurdish. Can I book the class?" I said, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." And yeah.
Okay, it's great, very inspiring. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for talking to us, and thank you to everyone for listening. We have more talks and more podcasts coming up this month, so please keep following our newsletter and our website. And thank you so much. There we go.